And you can see that, that the procession is moving, and the people have lined up. Amit Shah is walking, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, they have chosen to walk. It's pretty unprecedented that Prime Minister has chosen to walk all the way to the cremation ground. Amit Shah, I think Amit Shah is accompanying him, if I can see it correctly, but it's a massive exercise in itself. It's a massive exercise in itself for the SPG to secure the way. And I think procession is moving pretty fast, and it's pretty unprecedented. It's a pretty unprecedented, I would say, that for the Prime Minister to walk all along. So you can see these are close-up visuals. These are the close-up visuals of the platform on which former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's body is laid. These are the close-up visuals. The visuals are coming in bits and pieces because it's extremely difficult for anyone to capture the procession in its entirety. Massive deployment of police all along the way, massive deployment. A lot of people have come on their own to pay last respect or to have a last glimpse. And again, the visuals of Prime Minister Amit Shah. Now, this is a clear visual. This is a clear visual of the procession. And I'm also joined by my colleague Nagin. Nagin, just take us to both Nagin and Siddharth Simple. My colleagues are, both of them are with me. Siddharth, I'll come to you. Nagin, just take us through how's this being organized? Prime Minister walking all the way to the cremation. How's security deployed in Delhi?
Well, we are just near the ITO, and there are more than 2,000 paramilitary forces personnel. They have been deployed throughout the way, and they have made sure that because the PMO itself is taking care of the entire procession and of the funeral. So they have made sure that enough people are deployed because people have gathered in huge numbers who are here to pay their last tribute to the leader. That's why the entire road that has been, the traffic has been stopped, and for the 26 artery roads which connect to ITO, they have been also closed so that the procession can take place smoothly. And as we can see here near the ITO, at least 10,000 people can be seen on the ITO road, which leads towards the National Smriti Sthal, where near Rajghat, where the last rite will take place around 4. It is little late to reach till 4 there because the people have gathered in huge numbers. That's why the entire march, the last journey, is little slow towards the destination where it will take place finally. However, if we talk about the police officials and the arrangements that have been made, that is up to the mark, and police is patrolling all through the roads from the beginning till the end, which starts from BJP office till cremation ground, or the place where the last rite will take. So arrangements are very well, and of course the people also have gathered in huge numbers despite the heat and humidity. And
but Nagin, you know, Prime Minister and Amit Shah to walk all along?
They have left from BJP office, but they will be not walking along, but they will be moving behind the same march. They all will be moving towards the National Smriti Sthal with the same group, but they will not be walking along.
Okay.
They will be.
Okay. I'll update you because the fresh visuals are coming again. You know, I can see Amit Shah walking along the body of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In the earlier visual, we could see Prime Minister Modi. You know, it will become clearer that was that for the first half of it, or maybe they'll go the whole run. Siddhant, coming to you, just take us through the biggest foreign policy contribution of Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Well, when it comes to foreign policy contribution, the biggest one will be the change he brought, making Indian policy less ideological driven and more, in a sense, more pragmatic, more realistic, and which put India first in the entire policy decision which was to make. But the outcome of this was a change in relationship with world powers such as America, because there is a constituency. There was actually a constituency which was not very keen to have India getting closer to America at that time in late 1990s, and he brought that change. He reached out to Clinton administration and the Bush administration. That bold decision taking at that time was completely unprecedented. And the other, of course, relationship with Pakistan and China, because these two countries, of course, have been historically perceived as danger for each other. For India, Pakistan is a danger, and for Pakistan, India is a danger. That's a perception that usually we know is prevalent in the subcontinent. So he reached out to Pakistanis, but of course Pakistanis backstabbed with Kargil. But with China also, he approached, he reached out. But other than that, as a foreign minister under the Janata government, he of course spoke in Hindi, but because there has been this long-standing demand of the Indian government, even as we speak, after one day there will be a big event in Mauritius where the external minister is expected to go. It's not updated whether she'll cancel the visit or not, where she'll participate, where the World Hindi Divas will be celebrated. So that shows that she had this idea long before anybody could have thought about this in late 1970s. Other than that, if you talk about the overall thought process he had, he believed in peace. His loss, of course, is news in Pakistan. Pakistanis were the first people to react because he enjoys, it seems, a lot of goodwill there in the country. And even as we speak, we got this report that the Pakistani delegation, this information being provided by a Pakistani correspondent, that they are all set to leave Islamabad and will be reaching here, taking part in the cremation, which is kind of unprecedented, though Pakistan, it seems, could have used this solemn occasion to send a more political leader rather than sending, it seems, a bunch of bureaucrats. But this is an acting minister, acting information minister. But of course, Afghans, of course, we know the Afghan president, the former Afghan president Hamid Karzai had a talk with WION in which he said that he's a son of India who was a great friend of Afghanistan, which shows that he enjoyed this cutting across party lines, cutting across all the divisions, and especially in neighborhood, he enjoyed a goodwill, he enjoyed a respect. We know Imran Khan, the president-elect, has always reacted to his demise. He said that the Pakistani nation stands with India in this time of grief. So clearly, he was a person, much loved person in the Indian policy as well. WION had the opportunity to speak to the foreign secretary in the Vajpayee government from 2009 to 2004, Lalit Mansingh, who said small things which made at such a tough position life little easier, because he was the prime minister, and usually meeting the prime minister is a kind of a pressure job, and what the prime minister wants. He said the prime minister used to make them comfortable. He used to listen to them and then take a decision. He told me a lot of his small anecdotes, including the fact that that the former prime minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a foodie. He used to love eating food, especially Chinese food. So clearly, when it comes to foreign policy, he has immense contribution, a legacy that will be not only long-lasting but will be absorbed in the Indian policy structure, Indian policy making, and maybe after 100 years or maybe 50 years, 30 years, when the history book will be written, then of course his contribution, there will be a full-fledged chapter on how he changed Indian policy making, and of course Indian foreign policy altogether in a different way. A break in legacy, but a continuation also, because there was a continuation in a sense. He continued with the Nehruvian policy, but a break because he made Indian foreign policy much more pragmatic, much more realist, and that is why he will be remembered. He was a class apart. What makes now Atal Bihari Vajpayee different from other people was the fact that he believed in consensus. He believed that everyone has to go together. That is why, coming back to Pakistan again, we have seen not only from President-elect Imran Khan, but other political party leaders also reacting. The PPP chairman Bilawal Bhutto reacted. He said that sincere condolences, and he made sure that there is an atmosphere of trust between India and Pakistan, and that will be, of course, his lasting legacy, a sustainable peace in South Asia. So clearly, when we talk about his legacy in foreign policy, a huge and immense legacy, a legacy that will be celebrated, absorbed, and that made sure that India is at a new pedestal today. What India today is because of the foundation laid by the former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He was responsible for this new India which is being talked about today, in India which is today celebrated across the world, whether it's Washington or Moscow. It was this man who is no longer with us. Even Moscow, if we talk about relationship with Washington, the president Putin, he wrote to President Kovind about on the demise of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the ambassador. Immediate to react, he immediately wrote to the External Affairs Minister and expressed his condolences. This is in a sense not normal, because usually an Indian politician, how many world capitals will remember an Indian politician is a different thing altogether. And here is a man who is not only remembered, but his contribution, his legacy being talked about right now as we speak, as the procession marches through the streets of Delhi, in Moscow, in London, in Washington. This is unprecedented. And as the procession marches, the Prime Minister going along with the party president Amit Shah shows that this person commanded a respect that will be remembered, that will be written about, that will generate new leadership. Of course, he was responsible for a leadership. The second generation of BJP, which is right now ruling the country, is a direct product of the investment, the hard work done by Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Advani. That is why right now, yes, as you just mentioned, that it's unprecedented for a Prime Minister to work, but this is a Prime Minister who owes everything, his Prime Ministership, to a person who invested on him and other of his peers who are now ruling the country. So that is why he's not only a patriarch, he's a person whose legacy is being lived by BJP almost every day. And that is why this is a pivotal moment from in late 1970s to just two people in the parliament in early 1980s to a full-fledged majority in 2014. This man is directly responsible for this, and that is why today, as we speak, the procession which is going on will be written, talked about, and will be a part of the BJP history for forever, because he is single-handedly responsible for BJP, whatever BJP is today.
Absolutely right. Now, colleague Nagin is also with us. These are the visuals of the procession. These are the visuals of the procession you can see. Both Prime Minister and Amit Shah, they have chosen to walk. Both chosen to walk. thousands of people have thronged the streets of Delhi. The visuals you're seeing are from ITO. All the peripheral roads in the central part of the Delhi have been blocked. Arterial roads have been blocked. The traffic has been diverted. Schools, colleges, they have been closed in Delhi. The government offices have been closed in Delhi. And let me go to my colleague Nagin. How have they deployed the security and how much time is it going to take place for the procession to reach the Smriti Sthal?
Well, the security is tightened up, and on the roads there are police personnel who are controlling the crowd, because of course the crowd they want to look to see the mortal remains for the last time, and that's why there is a huge crowd, at least 10 to 20,000 people who are gathered on this road. So police has made sure that they stay away from the vehicles, because there are many vehicles which are passing by before the truck which is carrying the body. And police, they have made sure that those people, there are barricades which have been made, and people will stay behind that barricade. But if we talk about the entire situation at the moment, it all looks under control, and we are at ITO. The vehicle is about to pass from here, which is carrying the mortal remains of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And at the moment, what we can see is that all the forces, Air Force, Army, and the Navy personnel, they are passing by. They are marching from here, and
yes, you are right. You know, it's a distance of 4 kilometers, and both Amit Shah and Prime Minister, they are actually walking all the way to the cremation. And tell me, which part of that area has been allotted where the cremation is going to take place?
The cremation that will take place just near the same spot where Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial has been made. It is near Rajghat on the banks of River Yamuna, where the last rite will take place. And after that, there will be one memorial spot which has been fixed for Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, which is near the former Prime Minister, which is near the memorial of former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri. And this is the place where most of our PMs, they have been cremated, and their memorial is there. And this is a place which has been allotted for Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, for one of the tallest leaders that we have from BJP. So, the other information that we have gathered, that since yesterday all the preparations were made for the funeral and also for the memorial that has to be built over there, and it will take another 1 to 2 hours for the body to reach there, because it has just reached to ITO at the moment, and the speed is of course very slow because of the huge number of people pouring in to pay their last tribute to Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Oh, absolutely, but this is unprecedented for the Prime Minister to walk all along. It's like a Herculean exercise by the Special Protection Group, because I have not seen any serving Prime Minister walk like that, but Prime Minister has done similar like that during Uttar Pradesh Assembly election in Banaras, known as Varanasi, where he walked all the way to meet people. I think he held a rally, 2 kilometers he walked, but here he is walking in Delhi for 4 kilometers all the way to the cremation ground, all the way. And this is I would say the way politics changes things. There was a time when he was sent by the BJP to go to Gujarat. Then Vajpayee talked about Raj Dharam. He wanted to sack then Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi, but Advani prevailed. Modi came back with a thumping majority. Vajpayee changed his view. He said nothing is bigger than the temple of democracy. So he has won. He has got the mandate. So there is no issue. And today, Vajpayee is no more, and Advani is sidelined in his own party.
और तमाम लोगों का
यहाँ से हिलना डुलना भी बहुत मुश्किल हो रहा है।
Just to give an idea to our viewers, it started from Deen Dayal Upadhyay, then it will go all the way from Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg, which is part of the central Delhi. Then it is going to go to Netaji Subhash Marg, and from there it's going to take a right turn, cross the inner ring road, and will reach the Smriti. So a pretty long route, 4 kilometers. Former Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a leader revered in India as well as abroad. Several world leaders paid tribute to veteran politician. Various countries including Bangladesh, Pakistan have sent their representatives to attend Vajpayee's funeral. India's neighbours paid heartfelt tribute to Vajpayee. The President of Sri Lanka, Maithripala Sirisena, said the Vajpayee was a visionary. He tweeted, and I quote, "We have lost a great humanist and a true friend of Sri Lanka." Former Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, was a visionary leader and an ardent defender of democracy. My condolences to his family and millions of his admirers around the world, unquote. The President of Maldives, Abdullah Yameen, remembered the contribution made by former Prime Minister, late Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, to the island nation's development. He said, and I quote, "Vajpayee would not only be remembered for his distinguished service and leadership for his country, but also a scholar who also made immense contribution to literature and art. He would fondly be remembered," the former Prime Minister Vajpayee, and he refers to him and says his contribution to human resource development in Maldives and for the memorable visit that he made to the Maldives during a tenure as Prime Minister of India, unquote. Prime Minister of Bhutan tweeted, and I quote, "Heartfelt condolences to the government and people of India on passing of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The world will celebrate him as an exemplary statesman," unquote. The ambassador of the Director General of Israel's Foreign Ministry remembered the time he met the late Indian Prime Minister. He tweeted, and I quote, "I was deeply saddened to learn of the death of a giant, India's former PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee. I offer my heartfelt condolence to the people of India at their loss," unquote. Russian President Vladimir Putin sent his sympathies to the people of India and Vajpayee's family. Putin said, "Atal Bihari Vajpayee rightly commanded great respect around the world. He will be remembered as a politician who made a personal contribution to the friendly relations and privileged strategic partnership between our countries," unquote. So Siddhant, I can finally see the visual. He has almost walked all the way. Prime Minister Narendra Modi with Amit Shah. Unprecedented.
Yes, it's unprecedented, but it of course shows how much how much they value a leader who has been responsible for the entire present leadership of BJP. But he will be a leader who will be missed by many people, cutting across party lines, and because of his nature, his humble nature, a person who was approachable, a person who, despite being the Prime Minister, seen the rough and tough, the ups and downs of politics, was a person who was approachable because he was just like any other common man. He loved music. He was a poet. His famous poet still reverberates. It's being sung by many people where I was standing at the BJP headquarters. And as we speak, the convoy, we can see and we can actually hear people sloganeering that Atal Bihari Vajpayee Amar Rahe. This shows his class and mass appeal. That is why so many people have right now, a lot of people are walking along with the Prime Minister itself. So clearly it shows a person who was respected, who was loved by everyone.
Oh, absolutely. Dagen, if you are with me, is it correct that the ceremonies will start by 3 p.m.? It's everything is on schedule?
The last ride was supposed to start at 4 p.m., but it doesn't seem like they'll be able to reach there because they still have to go around 2 to 2.5 kilometers. And of course, as Prime Minister and Mr. Amit Shah, they are also walking along. So security is also an issue because for the special protection guards, it is becoming a very difficult task looking at the number of people who are gathered around the Prime Minister. It doesn't look like for the first time, it looks like that Prime Minister is just walking around with common people. And there is a small amount of SPG, but it doesn't look like a normal situation. And it shows how Prime Minister respects Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, that he's walking along with all the supporters and all the people, all the fans of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So it is going to take time to reach, but they will not. The procession will not begin at 4 for sure, because it is going to take at least another 1 hour, 1.5 hours to reach there, and then after to enter, it is going to be another issue because there the police will have to control the huge crowd which is following the mortal remains of Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee.
Absolutely. Siddhant, if you are still with me, generally people focus on Atal Bihari Vajpayee's foreign policy initiative. But, there was a Vajpayee as a poet, Vajpayee as a politician, Vajpayee as a writer, Vajpayee as a journalist, and Vajpayee as a patriarch of Bharatiya Janata Party.
A statesman, a person who did everything possible for this party. But if I can talk about his relationship with the present Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it really hasn't been really all milk and honey. Remember the Raj Dharma comment after the after 2002 riots in Gujarat. So clearly, despite the ups and downs, the respect remains, and that is why today Narendra Modi, being the Prime Minister, is walking down the roads of Delhi to make sure that he would like to say this. I believe that his father gets the cremation, and that is why this is really important moment for BJP as well as a party. Though later on, after Raj Dharma comment, it's believed that media reports at least say that he wanted Modi to resign as the chief minister, but there seems to be a retreat. There was a retreat, and later on he let him serve as the chief minister till the entire course. But largely, if you look at the political journey of BJP from nothing, from Jan Sangh to Janata Party to today, BJP, it's all due to this man, and it's also because not only of this because of this man, but because of Advani also. Advani was when Advani was asked about his comments, he talked about his friendship, 65 years of friendship with this man, and this man is no longer here. He described him as India's tallest statesman. Clearly, it shows the closeness between two leaders, Advani and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Though, of course, we know they were later put along with Murli Manohar Joshi in the Margdarshak Mandal, which many said was a kind of the coming of the second generation, but also the people who were responsible not getting their dues, fading away in the shadows. So there is a mixed view, but today the entire party would be willing to not talk about this, but willing to talk about the person Advani, person Atal Bihari Vajpayee was, the statesman, the party leader, the patriarch, the person who put the flesh and blood in this party, which is known to the world today as the Bharatiya Janata Party, a party which was nowhere in the scene in 90s and 80s, and before that it was in different form in Jan Sangh. Remember, his journey in the politics of India started way before the Indian independence. He took part in the Quit India movement, and later on he was an aide of Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, and then of course he continued to work, struggle. Many are celebrating today how successful he was, but remember, behind every successful person there are a lot of steps of steps which are not success of celebration of success. So that is why he struggled for so many years, for more than 30 years, and then he became an MP, and from the journey of an MP to the post of the highest post of the office of the country, and being the first non-Congress Prime Minister who continue this 5-year tenure is a thing which the history book will be celebrating, the BJP will be celebrating.
Okay, that's a very interesting information given by us, by my colleague Siddharth Symbol. So it's almost near Delhi Gate. The procession has reached Delhi Gate. Prime Minister Amit Shah walking side by side. The Prime Minister has chosen to walk all the way with Amit Shah. To Chintan Shivir. I think it's a very strong messaging. Whatever may the position of Atal Bihari Vajpayee be on Modi, it's the political reciprocity or the symbolic act or the act of walking all along sends a completely different symbol. It's like healing. That whatever happened has happened in past, and it's like a closure. And I think it will be received very well publicly by Prime Minister's gesture. It's a very strong gesture, very strong move at significant risk. So Nagin, now how much more time I can see from the visuals Delhi Gate? Nagin, can you hear me?
1.5 hours more to reach to, because there is another stretch of 1.5 kilometers that they have to complete to reach to the cremation ground. And also we have seen that the people have gathered, and while we spoke with most of the people here who came to pay their last tribute, they have been saying that they haven't seen Atal Bihari Vajpayee for a very long time. And Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he confined his life, his personal life, and there were very lesser people who were able to meet him personally. And that is also a reason that they wanted to see Atal Bihari Vajpayee's face. We know that he died of a prolonged illness. He was also suffering with dementia, and that is the reason it says that he kept himself confined to his personal life, and his public life was not very active after he was not the prime minister. And that is the reason that people really wanted to see him, see his face. And that is the reason that we have so many people, and the procession is taking little longer before to reach to the cremation ground, which is the National Smriti Sthal, and it is going to take longer because of the huge crowd which has gathered to pay their last tribute.
Nagin Singh, our correspondent, continue to get us live coverage even as we get you these latest visuals from India's capital, New Delhi, where the final procession of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee is taking place. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is walking all along the route of the procession along with the Bharatiya Janata Party chief Amit Shah. We have Siddharth Symbol, our correspondent as well, joining us on this broadcast. Siddharth, talk to us. We've almost reached the end of this procession.
At the end of the procession, and after that, of course, the cremation will happen. The time given by the president of BJP, Amit Shah, yesterday, after briefing the reporters at Krishna Menon Marg, which was the house of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He said at 4 o'clock the cremation will happen. But if we can talk about Kashmir and the former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, because Kashmir was close to Atal Bihari Vajpayee's heart, and when the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister, spoke from the ramparts of the Red Fort, he spoke those 3 words: Insaniyat, Jamhuriyat, and Kashmiriyat. And these were the words which were said by Atal Bihari Vajpayee, because Atal Bihari Vajpayee believed that Kashmir, the peace in Kashmir is only possible if there can be some kind of a peace with Pakistan. And we have seen during the coalition between Mehbooba Mufti and BJP, which of course no longer exists. Mehbooba Mufti and her father reiterating these points, that even saying that if Atal Bihari Vajpayee would have been here, he would have done this, he would have done the things in a different manner. So hoping that the current government would have done the things in the same manner. But he was a person who was willing to take any step, any bold step for the sake of peace, and he wanted to change the destination of South Asia. And as we have been talking since morning on the summit, the Lahore summit and the Agra summit in Lahore, of course, anecdote, he was asked by his own party colleagues not to go to Minar-e-Pakistan, but he did go to Minar-e-Pakistan, because remember, Minar-e-Pakistan represents the state of Pakistan, and this is something which maybe many people from the right-wing ideology would have not been happy, but he was willing to go there for the sake of peace. He was considered, today he's considered a moderate. He was back then also considered a moderate, and that is why his appeal was something that won him so many people, whether it's in Islamabad, whether it's in Washington, and that is why today we are seeing that the world is mourning with India at this time when the former Prime Minister is no longer with us. Even in Mauritius, where that World Hindi Divas is being celebrated, the Indian flag along with the flags of Mauritius are flying at half-mast, which is unprecedented for another country to fly a flag at half-mast for a person who is no longer the Prime Minister. Such is the appeal of this man, the former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and it seems he had some connect with the number 13, because he, of course, was in his last term. He was sworn on 13th. The day was 13th. His first government lasted for 13 days, then for 13 months, and he believed in the rules of the game. He never believed in things which morally will be reprehensible. Remember, he lost majority in the government due to one single vote. Had it been a different government, trust me on that, they would have gone for different ways, because it's as the old quote goes, everything is fair in love, war and politics. But he let the government fall for the sake of democracy, for the sake of his ideals. And that is why today a lot of channels, a lot of people are talking about his speeches. They are replaying the speeches. But these speeches will also become part of the legend he was. No longer it seems we have politicians like that, but he set a benchmark which will be very difficult for anyone to reach. And for many people, he will be a personal loss, especially for Advani, who has been his friend, who along with him, in a sense, planned things. But that was the underlying friendship that led them to do this. So clearly, it's a day of mourning for the nation, for the people, it's a day of personal loss for many people, many journalists also. I am not part of that generation who have covered the Prime Minister's office of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. At that time, I was young, but I, as a student, used to go through the newspapers and follow Lahore Summit and Agra Summit. And for me, it was a new thing altogether, because here was, for me, it seems to be that here was a man who was keen to do things for the sake of peace, cross Wagha on bus. So clearly, these things are etched on my mind, and as a journalist today, these things are somewhere I've absorbed it, not actively, passively at least, and that is why this man is a man who has impacted so many people directly, indirectly, and that is why he has formed a part of folklore. He will be part of folklore, of legends, and his talk, his quotes will be used in the Indian politics for many years to come.
WION correspondent Siddhant Sibal joining us live even as the final journey of former Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee is just about to reach the Smriti Sthal, where the last rites will be performed. We have Nagen Singh, WION correspondent, also joining us on this broadcast. Nagen, we've been streaming these live visuals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with Amit Shah choosing to walk along with the funeral procession of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It has huge symbolic significance. Again.
Mr. Prime Minister and also Amit Shah, they have come together and they have been walking along all this while, this 4-kilometer stretch in this humidity of Delhi and the heat of Delhi. This is, of course, is a remarkable step or a remarkable gesture that they have shown towards the first president of BJP. This is also going to set a stage for them in a sense that it shows the close relationship between all these leaders who have closely worked with Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And they still have to walk another 2 kilometers to reach to the procession ground. And they have almost completed 2 kilometers. And but I think that police officials, as we spoke to one or two of the police officials who are present here, they are saying that maybe they'll be able to reach there by 4 o'clock, and the procession will take place on time, and the last strike will take place on time around 4 p.m.
Right. That's what we understand. The wreath laying ceremony is set to conclude by around 3:15 p.m. India time. We're pretty close to it now, and the cremation ceremony is set to take place at 4 p.m. And again, is it on track for the cremation to begin at 4 p.m.?
Absolutely. The time which has been scheduled is 4 p.m., but it all depends if they are able to reach there in time, because looking at the crowd, as I told you earlier, that police have been saying that they will make sure that they reach around 4 o'clock, because the crowd, to manage the crowd is becoming a little difficult, as Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, they are walking along with the mortal remains, and the public is also getting more emotional in a sense, looking at the Prime Minister walking with the mortal remains, and that has also brought a lot of sentiments and emotion among the followers and the supporters of BJP, and they have been shouting slogans in support of the late Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and they have been paying their tribute with flowers spreading and throwing on the body along the road. So overall, what we are getting, the information that we are getting, that the procession, the last rite should begin at 4 p.m.
Nagan Singh, our correspondent, getting us the latest updates on the final journey of former Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Thousands thronging the streets of Delhi all along the funeral procession route. We have Siddhant Sibal also tracking this funeral procession. He is also joining us on this broadcast. Siddhant, the crowds seen on the streets of Delhi has been unprecedented. It was expected that a lot of people will indeed show up to pay their homage and pay their last respects to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, but the crowds now that we can see on the streets have exceeded even those high expectations as well.
The streets of Delhi are blocked by the mourners who are mourning their beloved, their favorite Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who made a major impact on them and, of course, the Indian policy. If you look at the streets of Delhi, so many people, it's not usual. Perhaps I can't even recall when this happened, so many people paying their tributes on the streets of Delhi. I can give you an example from the BJP headquarters, where there were so many people who were present there to pay homage, that they had to shut the doors because it was becoming really difficult, and given the fact that the heat was rising up, and right now it's not only hot, it's humid also. That makes much more difficult to even walk. So, of course, the Prime Minister walking, even if you just go around Delhi, even if you just stand in Delhi right now, you'll start sweating. Such is the condition, and there you have it. so many people coming to pay their last respect, their homage to a Prime Minister who really changed India for better. And today the new India which we are talking about is primarily the foundation was laid by him. And if we can diversify into his other key initiatives such as China, Vajpayee's statecraft on China was very significant. It was only after 13 years that there was both the sides were willing to make little bit adjustment to their position. And it was, remember, the special representative talks on borders, which we talk almost on like a monthly basis today on what will happen, was an idea.
I was Siddhant Sibal, WION correspondent. Even as we get you the live latest visuals of India paying homage to Vajpayee, thousands of mourners on the streets of Delhi. Even as former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's mortal remains reaches the cremation ground. The cremation is set to begin in just about 45 to 50 minutes time from now. And as you can see now, visuals on the screens of the preparation for the cremation ceremony, the last rites ceremony, visuals on the screens of wooden blocks and other paraphernalia being put together and being readied for the funeral procession, which will end at the Smriti Sthal. And we've been getting you visuals of how Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and BJP's National President Amit Shah have been walking all along the 4-odd-kilometer funeral procession route, even as thousands and thousands of mourners gather on the streets of India's capital, New Delhi, to bid farewell to one of its tallest leaders. Huge security arrangements in the city of New Delhi today to ensure the smooth flow of this funeral procession. Sea of humanity following the funeral procession, along with the SPG and other security personnel who've been put in place. The Smriti Sthal, where the cremation will take place, is a memorial site for national leaders in India. And the mortal remains of Atal Bihari Vajpayee is being taken to Smriti Sthal from the headquarters of the Bharatiya Janata Party, or the BJP. It's a full state funeral, a funeral with full state honors that is being given to Vajpayee. The Indian government has declared 7 days of mourning as well until the 22nd of August. Tributes have been pouring in from not just leaders and Bollywood personalities as well across the spectrum, but also from global leaders across the world who have sent their condolence messages to India and Atal Bihari Vajpayee's family. And we continue to bring you live, non-stop coverage of this funeral procession that is all set to reach the Smriti Sthal, where last rites are set to be performed with full state honors. Former Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a leader revered in India as well as abroad. Several world leaders paid tribute to the veteran politician. Various countries, including Bangladesh and Pakistan, have sent their representatives to attend Vajpayee's funeral. India's neighbors paid heartfelt tributes to Vajpayee. The president of Sri Lanka, Maithripala Sirisena, said that Vajpayee was a visionary. He tweeted, and I quote, "We've lost a great humanist and a true friend of Sri Lanka." Former Prime Minister of India, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, was a visionary leader and an ardent defender of democracy. My condolences to his family and millions of his admirers around the world, unquote. That's the kind of tribute that is being paid to Atal Bihari Vajpayee by world leaders, even as people of India line up along the streets of Delhi to bid farewell to one of their revered leaders, a stalwart as far as the history of Indian politics is concerned, a man who was Prime Minister thrice between 1996 and 1999, and then eventually became the first and the only non-Congress party Prime Minister to have served a full term from the year 1999 to 2004. A poet, a foodie, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a multifaceted personality, but was highly regarded for his political acumen, especially when it comes to foreign relations. And today, in his last journey, India mourns the death of one of its greatest leaders. The who's who of the Indian political spectrum is present, and representatives have also come in from Pakistan and Bangladesh. And in this funeral procession, what surprised everybody was how the current Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the National President of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, Amit Shah, both of them walking side by side all along the funeral procession route, choosing to walk along it and not be in a vehicle. And the crowds have been swelling all along the route of this funeral procession, and the last rites ceremony of the cremation of Atal Bihari Vajpayee will begin in about 45 minutes time from now. Preparations are underway at the Smriti Sthal, the place where national leaders are given full state honours. Meanwhile, tributes have been pouring in from across the world. Many leaders remembering the contribution and the legacy of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. For example, the president of Maldives, Abdullah Yameen, remembered the contributions the late Prime Minister made to the island nation's development. He said, and I quote, "Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee would not only be remembered for his distinguished service and leadership for his country, but also as a scholar who has made immense contributions to literature and art. We would fondly remember the former Prime Minister Vajpayee for his contribution to human resource development in the Maldives and for the memorable visit that he made to the Maldives during his tenure as the Prime Minister of India," unquote. The Prime Minister of Bhutan, Tshering Tobgay, tweeted, and I quote, "Heartfelt condolences to the government and people of India on the passing of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The world will celebrate him as an exemplary statesman," unquote. The King of Bhutan too arrived earlier in the day for the last rites ceremony for the funeral of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, along with foreign ministers of Nepal and other countries. The funeral procession is eventually entering the Smriti Sthal. And as you can see on the screens, that's the preparations that are underway for the cremation of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Visuals on the screens of the preparations that are underway, even as the funeral procession is set to reach this spot on your screens. That's the Smriti Sthal, a memorial site for national leaders in India. In fact, the ambassador of the Director General of Israel's Foreign Ministry remembered the time he met the late Indian Prime Minister. He tweeted, and I quote, "I was deeply saddened to learn of the death of a giant, India's former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. I offer my heartfelt condolences to the people of India at their loss." Not just him, Russia's President Vladimir Putin sent his sympathies to the people of India and Vajpayee's family. Putin said, and I quote, "Atal Bihari Vajpayee rightly commanded great respect around the world. He will be remembered as a politician who made a major personal contribution to the friendly relations and privileged strategic partnership between our countries," unquote. Visuals on your screens of the funeral procession, Prime Minister Modi marching along with the convoy, and he is accompanied by the National President of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and they are all set to enter the Smriti Sthal. It took everyone by surprise when PM Modi and Amit Shah chose to walk all along the route of the 4.5 kilometer long funeral procession. Roads have been blocked, huge security arrangements to ensure nothing untoward happens and the funeral procession is smooth, and more importantly, the people of India who want to bid farewell and want to pay their last respects to Atal Bihari Vajpayee can come and do that. His mortal remains, Atal Bihari Vajpayee's mortal remains, were kept at the headquarters of the BJP, the Bharatiya Janata Party, where national leaders and many others came to offer their prayers. And after that, the funeral procession began. The last rites of Atal Bihari Vajpayee are to be performed with full state honours at the Smriti Sthal. There you can see one by one everything is being put together for the cremation ceremony that is also to take place at 4 p.m. We're about 40 minutes away from that. We do know that the last rite ceremony, the cremation ceremony, is on track to take place at 4 p.m. and the funeral procession has almost reached its end. It will enter the Smriti Sthal where the cremation of Atal Bihari Vajpayee will take place. As you can see and hear, chants of Bharat Mata Ki Jai or victory to Mother India being chanted by people who are also chanting Amar Rahe, which means Vajpayee shall remain immortal. Thousands have gathered for this last rites ceremony. Thousands have been walking all along the funeral procession route as well. Despite the elaborate security arrangements in place, the Smriti Sthal, the place where national leaders are given their memorial, the memorial site for national leaders, is getting ready to, even as the funeral procession is all about to enter the Smriti Sthal. India's Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and other union ministers, Smriti Irani and Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi, have reached Smriti Sthal. Preparations are underway to carry out the last rites on former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Unprecedented scenes on the streets of New Delhi. Many can't remember the last time a funeral procession drew crowds like these in India. Many would say that the last time that a funeral procession of an Indian political leader drew crowds, it was Rajiv Gandhi after his assassination, and that was a long time ago. Not many have seen this kind of response, an emotional outpouring on the streets of Delhi for the loss of a big leader. one of the tallest leaders that India has seen, a stalwart who was respected not just in India but across the world. We're going to get you live visuals. As you can see, lots of chanting. It's all an emotional outpouring on the streets of Delhi today. 93-year-old Atal Bihari Vajpayee passed away yesterday at 5 p.m. India time. And today the funeral procession has almost reached the Smriti Sthal, and visuals now on the screens of the Smriti Sthal, a memorial site for national leaders where preparations are underway for the cremation ceremony, and the last rites will be performed with full state honours. There you can see, these are visuals of the Smriti Sthal. We do understand that India's Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and ministers of the Central Cabinet Smriti Irani and Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi have reached the Smriti Sthal this evening as Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi, along with the National President of the Bharatiya Janata Party, walk all along the funeral procession route, and they are set to reach the Smriti Sthal as well. We are getting to the latest visuals, and in fact live visuals of the funeral procession. This even as Pakistan paid tribute to former Prime Minister of India Atal Bihari Vajpayee, hailing him as a statesman after he passed away at the age of 83. 4-member Pakistan delegation led by Pakistan's Information Minister Syed Ali Zafar are attending the funeral today. The delegation includes the spokesperson of Pakistan's Foreign Affairs Ministry, Mohammad Faisal. Pakistan's Prime Minister-designate Imran Khan has expressed his condolences as well. Khan lauded Vajpayee's role in normalizing the Indo-Pakistan bilateral relations. So he said that the former Prime Minister's demise has created a vacuum in the political arena of the subcontinent. This even as the US State Department has also extended its condolences on passing of former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The statement released by the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, says that Vajpayee realized early on that the US and India could develop a partnership that would contribute to the security of the region and the world. Pompeo said that present relations between US and India continues to benefit from Vajpayee's vision. Pompeo also added that the American people are standing with the people of India in these tough times.